Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday Night, the music show.
Hey.
Yep. Me here, along with our friend Jay Brannan.
Cheers.
And our producer, Howie Darkstar.
In handling the mechanics of this, there's a lot involved.
I told him last night he's got a future at NPR.
I want to welcome everybody. My name is Howie Darkstar.
You got to slow down.
I don't know if I should take that as a compliment or not.
This week, we're talking about Dostoevsky's influence on modern shopping and grocery stores.
It was very nice. It was just very nice.
Thank you.
So what I want to talk about this week with the guys and whoever else happens to pop in later on,
of people coming in,
is what inspires you. Because, you know, when it comes to being a DJ, it's an art form, really. And there are certain things that inspire me to, you know, put together my systems, do light shows, even my programming at times. But ultimately, there are a lot of things out there that inspire me artistically. So I thought we'd start with something that Jay brought up when I left the room, but everything was turned up, so I heard him loud and clear. I made a post on Facebook the other day in regards to Weekend's halftime performance. And Jay, go ahead and take it from there. You got 30 seconds. So.
Okay. I'm not going to argue the talent of The Weeknd, because we don't have enough time in the show. I truly felt that the halftime show, because there is past halftime shows with which we judge new halftime shows, I thought it was very weak. I thought there were things in it that just made no sense. The whole thing with the mirrors, I kind of thought the mics should have been better. And I say that because it was very public that he invested $7 million of his own money. In parentheses, I can't even believe he has $7 million on his hits, but he does. And again, if people want to rag on me for me putting him down, I'm not. I'm putting the presentation down. They announced that he was doing this like 3 months ago. That's more than enough time to prep for one of the greatest shows with one of the biggest audiences you may ever have.
How are you keeping a clock on this guy?
I'm done.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I hit it.
So I want to clarify.
Red flag for you, Jay. Oh. You went over 30 seconds.
What did I go to?
I'm just kidding.
I
don't know.
But this was my point on that post. You had to read the post carefully. And I'm looking at it right now. It says, anyone complaining about the halftime show is a jaded old fart. Just saying. I didn't say anyone who didn't like it. I didn't say anyone who thought the Stones were better. I said anyone complaining about it. There were people who were actually angry at the halftime show. Like they were just livid, and they were expressing this on social media. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's okay if you don't like it, but it's weird if you make it a point to yell about it.
But it's not a normal halftime show.
It's not a normal halftime show.
Right, it's COVID halftime.
Let me tell you the way I looked at it, just to give you some perspective. Now, I will say right off the bat, and I did a live stream on this too. This was not my favorite performance. It's not my favorite artist. It's not my favorite halftime show. He doesn't do my favorite songs. But it was fine. I mean, it was what it was. I thought it was interesting from an artistic point of view. I liked it from an artistic point of view. From a musical point of view or from a technical point of view, I'm sure I could have found some problems with it if I would have been paying attention for that. But I was just digging a presentation. And the other thing that I will say is, before I stop monologuing here, is that there aren't many bands anymore. I mean, what can you do? Put the Foo Fighters up there?
That's
Harry Styles.
The exact band that I said. That was the exact thing I said afterwards. The only band today I can see doing it would be the Foo Fighters.
But think about the Foo Fighters. They're a band from the last century. I mean, they've been around for 25 years. I know they're still relevant. Right. And I know Dave Grohl's a great dude. But it was a contemporary artist. And to my knowledge, Weeknd is not known for playing a musical instrument. And no, he's probably and I don't know much about Weeknd, but I'm guessing he's a digital musician.
I think he came out in a way that people looked at him the same way they looked at Chris Brown and said, oh, this could be another Michael Jackson. They can dance, they can sing, they've got a good voice, this and that. But none of that happened. None of that was really what was going on. So it wasn't really, I mean, I think he's a good performer. I'm not a huge fan. I mean, Blinding Lights, here's the problem.
I really like that
Blinding
song, by
Lights
the way.
took over 2020.
I love that song. Not that anybody
I do too.
else, but
I do too.
Yeah.
But it's almost as though they hired him because he's that one good thing that came out of 2020. That's how it felt to me.
well, what else?
That's my own observation.
Who else would you have at the Super Bowl? I mean, you get somebody relevant, but what
But
else?
see, that's the
Like
discussion.
I said, not my favorite. You could put the Stones up there again. I'm sure they would do fine. You could put Foo Fighters up there. I'm sure they would do fine.
Right.
But I think that I've come to realize that maybe today, instead of me pruning for the old days when there was a band and it was a little more, musically relevant from a musician's point of view, maybe those days are no longer with us. Maybe that's over for now. Jay, you disappeared. What's going on?
I'm still here. I'm having technical difficulties, and they'll be resolved in just a half a second.
You're not a cat, are you?
No, I'm not a cat.
Okay, good.
There we go. I think
I can
they
see
have now
that.
been resolved. There we go. And like that, they were resolved.
I thought he was going to come back as a cat. I swear. I thought he was
No, sadly, my light burned out, and I had to jump up and plug in a battery
Gotcha.
light. It's not an American DJ light. It was a Chauvet light, one of my
those, yeah.
the,
But no,
Freedom cars.
I don't blame anybody for not enjoying it. It's fine. Complaining about it or getting mad about it, that got weird really fast.
Yeah, but you know what, Brian? I think people view the Super Bowl, and by the way, this is something I only learned about half an hour ago. This was the least viewed Super Bowl in like years.
Sure.
Like one of the worst viewed. And excuse me, the radio show I was listening to on the way home said, well, they need some new blood. You can't just keep having Tom Brady in there. It's not fun. Well, you know what? If you're not watching the Super Bowl because Tom Brady, who is by all accounts the greatest of all time as quarterbacks at his age and his career and everything behind him, and a genuinely super nice guy, and played in the greatest city on the planet Earth, Boston, for quite a long time. If that's your reason to not watch, then you're not into sports. I hate to tell you, Sally, but maybe there was a sewing show on the HGTV you could have watched. I don't know.
See what I'm talking about, Howie? You see how Jay's getting angry?
Yeah, he could be. You should have watched NPR. I was on.
Speaking of cats, wasn't
There's a game today called the Super Bowl. I think it's about a hand-cut Mayan wooden bowl. We have Howie Darkstar from the University of Colorado Antiquities Department to talk about the bowl.
Like that's what people should have watched. Hey, I'm sorry, but people are still frustrated. They're not out. I don't care how many shots have been given. I don't care what people say. We're all still kind of pissed off, and we want to go out and celebrate. I mean, Lee, I'll give you this.
Okay, but
Riverside County, LA County, you couldn't have a television on a patio at a restaurant this past weekend. It was illegal. They said, if we find out you have TVs on, we will come and shut you down, because they didn't want people gathering. Because when people
I want to just thank you for helping me out with this positive show title that I came up with, where we could talk about art that inspires us. I want to thank you for staying with that theme and
Where's the
not
waitress?
complaining. And
Where's the waitress?
I really appreciate that.
No. I'm saying, but that's my point about the halftime show. I think people are just amped up. I think if
Maybe.
this was a normal year, it would have been taken differently. You know what? I'll give him props. I initially said to Michelle, we were watching it with my beautiful wife, Michelle, and I said, wow, he's doing a ballad in the middle of this? That's either risky, genius, or I'm not sure. And then I'm like, that's a ballsy move. He knew what he was doing, and I give him credit as an artist. What inspired him at the moment was, I'm going to do my ballad at this point and then ramp up and blow out the doors with blinding lights. You know, I mean, you're talking about inspiration and music. Look at a band that comes out. I told you the great story about Naked Eyes years ago. They did a 3-hour set before they played Always Something There to Remind Me. By that point, there was 30 people in the crowd. They started with 400.
Yeah, it was the same thing when I went to see Blue Oyster Cult. Everybody
You mean
sat around
formerly soft under white belly thing there. Yeah.
Yeah. There was
Well, if they did their greatest hits, the show would be over in 10 minutes, you know?
Well, but that's the thing. That's the inspiration. When you go and see something that's going to inspire you, your take on it is going to be different than everyone else's. And I completely feel everyone should have an opinion. But I put up a video on YouTube. I think you did too, Brian. And I simply put the question out there to DJs. Hey, a lot of people are ragging on The Weeknd. What did you think? I thought the whole glass thing was a little weird for me, but I did like the whole plastic surgery as a way of wearing a mask for all those dancers that were near each other. I gave and took at the same time. I just think when it's all said and done, and Brian, this is where you become the star of the show. The guy that raised the bar to the point where no one will ever cross it is Prince.
Right. Now,
Did a halftime show.
If we're still going to be talking about the halftime show, yeah. See, this is what I'm talking about. I'm not a jaded old fart because I recognize that was an amazing show.
Right. No, I think even there were aspects of this that were good.
A great show, let alone for Super Bowl standards.
Yes.
So it was a really, really good show. And I remember watching that and thinking, oh my God, it's raining. What's the guy going to do? He's funny about his hair and his costume.
And he keeps playing.
And he just does.
And he was amazing.
And he just does.
And he killed it.
But what I don't feel like that I want to do as just a person, not as a DJ or anything else, but just as a person. And I think Howie's with me on this. I know Howie pretty well. I think he's there too. I don't want to be the guy who sits around and just shakes his fist at the sky screaming about, well, back in my day.
Right. I get that.
Because you know what? Okay, so let me just say this to you, Jay. And I'm specifically talking to you. We are some of the luckiest people to ever lived who are into music. Because we saw that awesome 70s stuff. You even caused some of the 60s stuff at the end because you're a little older than me.
Yeah.
Real time, the 70s stuff, the rock, the disco, the funk, the yacht rock stuff. In the 80s, we got the synth pop, we got, the amazing rock bands that you love, the hair bands.
Yep.
We saw hip hop born. We've seen Michael Jackson's career start and end at his death. Same with Prince. Same with George Michael. Oh my God, these are some of the most amazing musicians, prolific songwriters ever. Oh,
no complaints. When people ask me about going back in history, I don't talk about wanting to be there when King Henry VIII and when, the founding of man and fire. And I talk about, you know what? I would love to be in a crowd in a small juke joint and see Robert Johnson. I would love to have been at Woodstock. I would love to have gone to, the famous 50s sock hop the night before everyone got killed. Everything with me, and I think with you to a certain extent, becomes musically oriented about, man, if I could have seen Simon and Garfunkel at Central Park in the early 70s, and I've seen the videos, and that's one of the things that I'm about to lead into.
Well, wait, before you lead into that, let me finish my points. Let me just finish my point here, because we have experienced, in my opinion, some of the greatest music of all time.
Hands down.
I'm not a classical music guy, so maybe that's just my thing. It doesn't turn me on. But I love pop music. And by far, I think we've seen the best stuff. I really do. In our lifetime.
Yes, absolutely.
But I don't think it's fair. I do not think it's fair to compare every single artist that comes along to some of the most amazing artists that ever lived. That's what I'm just saying. It'd be like if every time I went out and DJ'd, the audience would be like well, he's so Grandmaster Flash. How disappointing. I don't think that's fair.
Then
take
Brian,
it for what it is.
Right. Then Brian, don't put yourself on the stage.
No, I don't
you're
mind
not-
being on the stage.
No, not you. But I'm saying the reason people make comparisons with other artists is because when artists get on the stage, if you go to Red Rocks in Denver, Colorado,
Yeah.
one of the most iconic outdoor amphitheaters in the world that people utilize for shows constantly when shows are going on.
I've been to
One of
Red
the most
Rocks.
famous shows, of course, is the U2 Under a Blood Red Sky live, and it became like one of the big launching points of their career. Dave Matthews has had amazing shows there. Joe Bonamassa has had a trail of shows. A lot of bands have really done well. Even DJs have done well there. The point is, you have to, in the back of your head, say, oh, wow, look at this. Stevie Ray Vaughan did a week of sold-out shows at Carnegie Hall. Why? Because Stevie Ray Vaughan wanted to legitimize himself. And when they said, where do you want to play in New York? I want to play at Carnegie Hall. That's not really a blues place, but that's where I want to play. But it's not really your audience. Well, I want my audience to come and see me there because I feel what I do is legitimate enough to play at Carnegie Hall. There's no joke about, hey, a guy in New York says to another guy, hey, do you know how to get to Carnegie Hall? And the guy goes, yeah, practice, practice, practice.
I can see why he would pick Carnegie Hall.
I can
I've
too.
been
I
there
totally
many
can.
times. There is not a bad seat in the house.
Now, there's many
And
ways.
you're right.
Same with different
his
symphonies.
crowd would go see him there. I saw many rock acts there back in the day. If they had a night, they would fill it.
By the way,
it could be a Monday or a Tuesday. Carnegie Hall is known for big stuff on weekends. Yeah, you can rent the hall.
And by the way, for those of you that don't know, who may not be as familiar with our producer, Howie Darkstar, as other people, what you should know, and what a good friend of mine, Grammy-nominated, amazing producer, remixer, DJ Chris Cox has said to me over and over again, wow, that guy Howie that used to do sound at Max's Kansas City. Now, if that doesn't make sense to you as a DJ, look it up and find out that Mr. Darkstar was back there at the beginning of it, in that he worked with bands like the New York Dolls, the Ramones, Blondie, Television.
Yes. And you know what's awesome about our producer, Mr. Howie Darkstar?
What else?
Absolutely amazing.
Oh,
Amazing about our producer, Howie Darkstar. He doesn't live in the past.
No,
He remembers it, most of it, some of it. It was the 70s. What are you going to do? But he lives in today. He lives today.
yeah, I draw on inspiration from those shows.
right.
But I don't.
But you were there. I'm saying you
I don't
were
live there, though.
He was there, but he's here.
No, but he was there.
I'm here.
He was
I'm here
there.
now.
Some
Yeah.
people, like Howie, are still there.
I
And
know.
they're still talking about it. And
Yeah.
they're angry because it's not happening now, or it's not like it
No.
was back
No.
then and all that. And they can't
Right.
live today because they're
But-
too busy pruning about the past.
You
and
kind
Howie's
of
not
need
that
to
guy.
know. You need to know
Right.
the foundation. I think you need. I personally, I will never forget reading. Excuse me, coming up playing guitar, I would get Guitar Player magazine, and I read one on Robin Trower, and I wasn't that familiar with his style. I knew Bridge of Sighs, and I thought it was very Hendrixy. And I started reading it, and I'm like, well, he uses the same guitars, same kind of pedals, same kind of amps. But all of a sudden, he's like, if you want to learn how to play like me, don't listen to me. Listen to Chuck Berry. Listen to Muddy Waters. Listen to Howlin' Wolf.
Right.
Go to the past. Go to who I listened to, because that's what I became. And I noticed a trend of all the great guitarists that I would read about. They didn't talk about what happened today. They talked about what they did, 10, 20, 30 years ago that brought them to
Totally
today.
understand.
Then they took today and moved forward.
Totally understand.
My only thing, I mean, and especially coming from, the senator from Wisconsin over here who drives a 65 Mustang, living in the past and understanding the quality of the difference between a new Mustang and a 65 Mustang,
That's an heirloom. That's
it's
different.
certainly not a comparable point.
It's an heirloom. It's all it is.
But it's not.
There's
an
a lot of
heirloom.
cool
It's
things.
an amazingly high quality
Do you
vehicle.
want to like just totally like set my daughter off where her head explodes?
No.
I have no problem with this.
No.
I have no problem with this, but you cannot mention this around my kid. You know what I'm interested in? I'm interested in Elon Musk making a crate motor that goes in that car.
Okay. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. See? I'm not living in the past. I appreciate.
Hi, everybody. I'm back. I'm in the
I
70s.
appreciate the
I'm
past,
not
but
in
I'm
the
not
new
living
days.
in it.
Sorry.
I'm just thinking to myself, wow, someday we're going to be able to go 0 to 60 in like 1.5 seconds. And
With an electric motor?
yeah,
Hold on. Excuse me. Oh, God, what's wrong with Brian?
I understand
Oh,
where
okay,
you're
I'm
coming
back.
from on that. And I understand that.
What kind? I'm curious. Would you put Magnaflow or Flowmaster on that, or a Thrush, or Hooker headers, or
I'll just hire you to
It
sit
has
in the
no
back seat and
exhaust.
go,
I'm so sorry. That's right. It makes no noise.
that makes no noise.
Yeah.
What are you going to
Hey,
do?
everybody. I'd like a 1978 Les Paul Custom to go through a Marshall 100-watt JCM lead head, and I'd like a 4 Celestion 25 each speaker cabs with the greenbacks. Brian, on the other hand, would like an Alexa box about this big, something that he could listen to something soothing with.
No, see, Jay, this is what I'm talking about. I appreciate the past. I love the past. I'm lucky to have seen it. I'm lucky to be able to experience
Then be happy to live in it, Brian. Get out of the future.
Yeah, but I'm not angry at the present. That was my only point.
Right.
But what
I'm
I
not
wanted to
angry
talk
either.
about in this show,
My Walkman was better than my Alexa, though.
what I wanted to talk about in this show was what inspires you as an artist.
Okay.
So Jay, let's just say that as a musician, because you play guitar, would you agree your mic is muted? Would you agree that a DJ is not a musician, but a DJ is an artist?
Yes. 100%.
So as an artist, what art inspires you? And it doesn't have to be musical.
Oftentimes it's visual. Oftentimes it's visual. And it becomes things like going to different events, and not even musical events, but just any event. Like we're going out to dinner at this place.
Right.
And I see a lighting. And I'll be honest, a lighting becomes one of the biggest things that become inspirational, because you look at how big things can get. And the example I use oftentimes to DJs is Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Yeah.
They tour usually 2 months a year, November, December, and they tour well. 2 groups, one east, one west, and it is insane, the lasers and the lighting. But when you look at something on that big of a scale, you say, oh, I can't do that. You can. You just have to mark it down to where you are.
Yeah.
And you have to look at it. Whenever I've gone down to South Beach, Miami, I've never left Miami and not been inspired.
South Beach, famous, like it would be a place that would really get the creative juices flowing.
I wear a black and white striped tie, and I think for 2021 I will change it, because I looked at a video I put up in 2012. I have 4 of them, but they're all the same ties. And that was the first time I wore that tie, and I had just come back from Miami and said, I was just in Miami. Everyone was in black with a black and white stripe, and it was cool, and they wore Chucks, and they had a white belt, and you know, it was inspiring because it was ahead of where I was. And I've always found personally Miami to be about 6 months, 8 months ahead. I think I told you guys real quick, I came back after hearing Duck Sauce, Barbra Streisand, and Yolanda
Be Cool, We Don't Speak Americano. Yeah.
Right. And I dropped those at a wedding in August in June, and just nothing. Come December, hey, do you have Yolanda Be Cool, No Speak Americano? I'm like, yes. Like I thought I was ahead of the curve. And I think that's the inspiration has to be to what you do to your set.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, because remember, now I know you have to ask if you remember this. I'm going to just say it like this. That one time we went to the Cabana Room with Big Daddy.
Yes.
And had that cool party at Mobile Beat Las Vegas.
Yep.
There's one song that sticks out from that night. And it was just the right moment. You were having fun. I was having fun. We were laughing. There were guys in there. There were girls in there. There was alcohol flowing. It was a wonderful night. And you know, we had these guys in there with cameras, and it was fantastic. And you know what? I think it might have been Tony. Might have been Tony. I don't remember. But
could have been.
He threw on a track because he was DJing. He threw on a track I'd never heard before, and it was Fetty Legrand, Let Me Think About It.
Yeah.
And it was almost like I was inside a music video. So I'm hearing the song for the first time. I'm looking at this stuff going on around me. The weather's great. Doors are open. We got a nice breeze coming in. We can come in and out. That was inspiring. And I remember, like, that night, that's the song I remember from that night. It's the Fetty Legrand song. I didn't get it on video or anything, but it doesn't matter. I remember it's the first time I heard it. And I went home and I found it. Turned out I had it on, some kind of promotional compilation that I gotten, or promotional stuff I gotten from Promo Only or whatever, and played it as often as I could get away with it. But I also, really find, just to expand on that, you talk about visuals. Specifically, I know that I really like architecture, like new construction, like grand scale sort of things, like you'd see on the Vegas Strip, like Resorts World that's going up.
Yes.
That's like jaw dropping. Like, wow. I don't know why. I don't know. I might come home and paint my room a color that I see in that hotel because it's a fresh new color, and it 100%. Is inspiring to me.
Yeah. But I think inspiration is one of those things that if you stop to pay attention, it's there every day, but you tend to only find it when you're in moments. But if you really just take it in, it's always there. Like every show. I mean, you and I met Chicagoland 2008. So now we're on 13 years ago, and I can literally walk you through every second of every moment I spent, from flying to Chicago, from taking a taxi, from getting to the hotel, to going to Gramercy Park Records, to going to Wiener Circle, to the next day meeting you, to doing the booth, to listening to music. And there's songs in my head that I always run to. You and I love you to death. And the song that every time I hear it, I just think of you as who you are as such a great person, is Lola's theme. I Remember by Deadmau5 has just become the iconic travel song. The Move for Me, there's a Promo Only, I think it was July 2009. Even though it's the next year, those songs somehow threw back into that Chicagoland July 2008 show. And that's the thing I miss so much now. Yeah. I get inspiration every day, but I have to look for it now. It's not coming to me.
I made that observation as well just recently, and it really jarred me because we were talking, Howie, I think we were having this conversation the other night. You were in the room. We were just saying, yeah, I'd love to go to a DJ conference. But you know what? The truth be told, I get so much inspiration walking out of that conference and just walking down the strip.
Absolutely.
Then
just being there in the moment.
Shop,
Well, it's sort of like the question becomes, where do you get your inspiration? But also, when you're at a show, when you're out of your element, how much more in tune are you? I had, the earbuds to my old BlackBerry Storm on a bus from, I think it's Niragawa Airport in Tokyo, to my hotel, the Prince Hotel in Shinagawa. And I just listened to I Remember over and over. It's like a 2-hour ride. And I listened to this 10-minute version over and over again because I wanted to capture something that when I hear it, part of that lives with it. And that's always been my argument about travel music. Yeah. And just like when I hear Lola's theme, I Live to Be 100, you will always be etched in my heart on that song. I Live to Be 100, I Remember, will always take me to Vegas, Tokyo, Chicago, New York, Boston, Miami, Denver, wherever. Now, that's one of the beauties of inspiration.
So what you're saying is that when you get older in your 90s or something, you'll be living in the past?
You know what, Howie? I'll be honest with you. If the option came up to me today, if you said to me today, I've got a magic wand, I'll give you the choice. I'll move you forward 20 or back 20. It wouldn't even be a decision. I'd go back.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. There have been times that
I would love to
wouldn't-
go back through those moments
no.
knowing more than I did then.
God, no.
I'll take the chip. I'll
By the
take
way, I
the
want
chip
side
and
pipes.
stay where I'm at.
eventually. I want side pipes. I want a wizard that looks like my wife with a sword over her head, horn on the back of the van.
I'm sure Michelle could arrange a sword.
Michelle does not. She can hear this, but she's not happy right now. I'm paying the price for this, but I want the teardrop window, and underneath it just says "Love Bandit." That's been the threat. That's when push comes to shove. That's where I go.
I do really enjoy retro things. I like the car.
Oh, I love them.
Fun. There are certain, like this old house. I don't think new houses quite have the soul an old house has. I just dig it. But when it comes to
they don't have character.
There's certain things. There's certain, I don't know, music and design and just kind of visual art in general that I need it to be new. I need it to be fresh. I need fresh ideas from people. You like
clean cut lines?
No, not necessarily. I just like inspiration, and I can pull.
Yeah, but how do you define inspiration then?
How do I define inspiration? I'll tell you exactly how I define inspiration.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so let's just say that I walk out of, I don't know, a strip property where we're having a show.
Strip club?
No, not a strip club. On the strip, on the Vegas Strip.
Got it.
Let's say the Riviera still existed, which it doesn't, but something like that. Let's say we end up at a show back on the strip. I walk out the door. I'm looking at a brand new property. I walk up to it. I hear this amazing song that either I've never heard before or I've never quite heard it like that before, with these people walking past me, these beautiful people walking past me, and these colors and the screen showing me this crazy ambient video that's just unlike anything I've seen. It's not a Me Too kind of thing. It's a brand new thing, and it's just, it's my bag, baby. I dig it. I will take that feeling that I have, and when I'm performing as a DJ, that's the feeling I want everybody else to have. I don't know how I'm going to give it to them, but that's what I'm trying to do. How can I possibly give other people that same amazing feeling that I had when I saw this? It was euphoric. I felt good. I felt like I was, I don't know. How can I say this? Sometimes you're just in experiences where you feel like you're a part of it. Like you're a part of the experience. You're not from the outside looking in. You're a part of it. You may not be the main part of it, but you're a part of it.
Do you feel like you're cheating at those though? I feel like I'm always cheating.
No, God,
no. Let me explain why I feel that way. I did a wedding, the same wedding where I shot a video about, check out my new tie. This is a look I just got in Miami back again, 2012. Yeah. The same wedding was up at a venue in San Diego called the University Club. It's like the 30th floor of this building.
I've heard of it, yeah.
We're up there and I'm doing it, and I did a vlog of the wedding. About halfway through the night, the bride and groom had already said to me, like, hey, we love, clubby, housey, whatever. And at one point, I had the dad out on the dance floor, and I dropped I Remember by Deadmau5 because it fit what I was playing, and it worked. And in the video, I say, man, what a great feeling when the dad's dancing to Deadmau5 at your wedding. This is when you know it's good.
Right.
Kind of a vibe. But I kind of feel that way at every event because it's sort of like we're artists that are given colors, but we're given songs. And I've said this to a million clients, my job at your wedding is to paint a picture that starts here and ends here, and as a whole shows what happened and who you are and what you wanted. And I do that by brushstrokes, aka what song I choose. What song gets played next, how I mix it, how I use an effect, or whatever I do. And that's kind of the cheating part, because there are times that I say, man, I don't know if this will work in my head, but I firmly believe it will.
I don't think that's cheating. That's
the best song, but
I don't
because
think
I
that's
think I
cheating.
can present it in a way that makes them go to another level.
But you tried something different, and that's the point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
and
I did it with
that's
the
not
understanding
cheating.
that I had a way out. If it didn't work, I had a life jacket.
Who do you
Always
keep
have a
talking?
life.
You
Well,
keep bringing up the story over and over again about the guitar player, and they say you're amazing. It's like, I'm not amazing. These guys who are dead are amazing. You should check them
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
The
yeah,
same thing. Same thing. You tell
yeah,
this story every month. I hear it, and I
yeah.
still don't remember the names because I don't give a shit. But
But
it's the
it's
same
true.
thing.
Yeah,
It's inspiration. You pulled it. It's
100%.
okay. It's not cheating.
right. Well, the inspiration could
I
be
just,
the
I just
same
wondered,
for an
Brian.
artist.
Or go ahead,
Like,
Howie. I'm sorry.
well, take a painter. He's got an idea in his head what he's going to put on that canvas. Now, he gathered ideas and inspiration here, there, and everywhere. Is that cheating because he's already got something in his mind's eye that he's going to do?
Right.
I wonder though, is art manipulation? Is it
No, it's
taking
inspiration.
people? We've had this talk about DJs, and I've always said you've reached a level of, you're an artist as a DJ in general, but you are really an artist as a DJ when they come to you and want you to take them somewhere. And I think the greatest feeling as a DJ, and whether it's a wedding, whether it's a bar mitzvah, whether it's a club, the greatest feeling in the world is when your brain says to you, you have them, right? You know they're going wherever you take them. And that might be when you go from 128 BPM and you slam them into, Lizzo, Truth Hurts at 79 and they blow up. That's the greatest feeling. The high that I get off that. And this is why I've often said I say to every single client, I don't do anything before or during your event that could impair myself. There's absolutely zero drinking. There's zero anything else because I need to be in the moment the whole time because this could become something very special. And they hear that and they look at me like, you're hired. That's exactly what we want. We want that opportunity because I feel their evening is as inspirational as any event. It's the best I have to offer. I took this from KK Downing of Judas Priest. The great quote of 1982 was, "We're only as good as our last gig." And I firmly
Yeah.
believe that about every event I've ever done.
It's
I'm
become
only as good as the
satisfying.
last one.
Yeah, actually, John said that to me after I forget what the heck I did, but he said, "Howie, how you going to top that?" And I'm like, I don't know.
But that's your goal.
It
That's
just
your
comes,
job.
It just comes to me, I mean,
Right.
I can find because the topic was supposed to be inspiration, and I can find inspiration just walking along, and somebody left a tinfoil hamburger wrapper, but the way the sunlight caught it and the way that it looks in that background.
I could go to my iPad and put this in there and show you how I can program it.
No, yeah. I mean, you never know where it's going to come from, but it happens. It's just like everybody's buzzing about that thing I did with Rachel. I mean, I'm getting messages like crazy, but I got it when I was sleeping, and I wrote it down, real quick because it was, Brian talks about taking inspiration from comedians. Well, what was his name? George Carlin would always keep a pad and paper by his bed.
Yeah.
He woke up. I did the same thing. I wrote that down. And it was like, okay, it's Rachel. Pizza's going to come up. So I figured, let's get it out of the way real quick. Hey, Rachel, nice to have you here. Would you like a slice of pizza? And I went right in the camera like this. I set it up with her. She had a slice there, pulled it back, said, "Thank you, Howie." That went fucking wild. And it just came to me in my sleep,
No,
And,
this is the thing that I think inspiration is oftentimes only a step above the normality of the day. Where if you're willing to just think outside a little bit, I have shot some amazing, and there's too many to count, but the one that always comes to mind are the times where Brian has said to me, "Hey, you got time to do a video?" Yeah. Let's do it. We go to the room. We'd go to the Strip, we'd go to the boardwalk, we'd go to wherever. And he's like, okay, what do you think? Want to talk about this? Yeah, okay, you start. And 10 minutes later, the video ends. But we did one with Marshall, who's more than likely not watching, up in his suite. And it is one of the greatest nights. I won't go into detail because it's an entire, like, 2 shows worth of, and then this happened. Oh, yeah, and then Jonathan took his pants off. But Brian and I were doing our thing. And then Marshall's like, yo, what's going on? I'm doing my thing. I'm like, cool, jump in the middle. Brian just went. Brian's like, hey, this and that. And Marshall's like, you know what I always say? DJing to make my money, or production to make my money, DJ make my honey. That's the thing. That's my heart. That's I've been DJing for like 35 years. I started when I was 12. And I'm just sitting next to him and I just roll my eyes and I go, what calendar are you using? And Brian goes, Mayan. And I'm like, Mayan figures. Yeah. Like, literally, it is just, I just think it is like an Abbott and Costello amazing moment.
Well,
but it's that
I was just,
thing.
I was just probably turned, I don't want to use that term because it'll come back to bite me in the butt. I was switched on that night. So I was inspired. I was in Vegas. I was I was just on
amazing.
It. Sometimes I'm tired.
You were
sometimes I'm running the show
dude,
and I'm exhausted.
So hitting on all cylinders.
But sometimes I'm there. I'm on it. But the reason I was on it is because I was in the right place at the right time. And the weather was great. And I was having fun. I wrote something on Facebook today that kind of wanted me to, or kind of, I guess, made me want to do this show. And it just came to me. The art we create reflects the art that inspires us, which is going back to what you were talking about.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in that. There's nothing wrong with that. You have to be inspired. Everything is inspiration. Everything is an evolution.
100%.
When you look even at rock and roll, I mean, it's an evolution thing. It's not that, okay, well, we're going to do something that no one's ever done. No, somebody's done something like that. You're just changing it up a little bit. It's always.
I think the beauty of life oftentimes becomes, regardless of what someone else has done, don't ever sell yourself short on what you feel.
Right.
Don't ever say, oh, they already did this, I can't do it. No.
Do it different.
Do it better.
Every musician I've ever read about has said, do what you love the most.
Yeah.
It'll come. Don't copy.
I'd like to go.
Don't do this. Just do what you love and what you want the most, and it will come.
It will. I'd like to go back to a point you were talking about before about manipulation. I have a different connotation of that. I think we do manipulate people. I really do. I try to.
Me too.
But I try to use that in a positive way, not, as it's commonly referred to, negatively. But yeah, I do want to manipulate them into an aha moment or, wow, that was amazing kind of thing.
Right.
Create those photo opportunities at an event for the photographer when he comes up and says, hey man, can I get your card? You're one of the best guys I work with.
Yeah.
Or they come, the client comes to you and says, hey man, here's an envelope for you. You knocked out of the park. And wow, all I did was create a few special memorable moments and manipulated the crowd to participate in that and give them that photo op.
Yeah.
And that memory that they can live in the past with when they're 90.
What's that expression? I'm going to mess it up. But there's an expression about luck being when opportunity meets talent.
No, it goes like this. Yeah, I've said it many times. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
There you go. Those are the nights where, and especially with what we do, because the majority of what I do is a wedding. And I have a group of people I've never met who didn't hire me, who don't know me, who have come cold to an area where I'm providing entertainment. And that's why I think oftentimes I will get from famous DJs who make $100,000 a show, I couldn't do a wedding for $1 million. Really?
Mm-hmm.
No. Nope. I don't have the music. I don't know what to do, this and that. I do what I do. I do me. I play my stuff. I'm good. And that's part of the challenge. And I'm sorry, I'm anxious. I would say 99% of my weddings, I get up in the morning, have a cup of coffee, have my kombucha, take my little vitamins, and that's it. I bet you I have not eaten before an event in probably 5 or 6 years, maybe longer, because I'm so anxious to show up and do what I do well, not because of who I am, but because of the opportunity I've been given. Someone who's paying me an awful lot of money to make their special day that they get one shot at great. This isn't,
I understand that anxiety, and I felt it too.
Well, but it's not even anxiety, Brian. It's more anticipation. It's the nerves of, you know what? This could go south, but I know it won't because I've done all my prep. I've done everything I need to do to be in the moment. But it's how good can it be? That's my argument. It could be good or great.
I've always felt like it's been my responsibility as the guy up there to know more than they do about music,
about all of it,
more than they do about having a good time, to just have this thing appear, this information that they don't have. It's like, hey, I know how to have fun. Right. I know what some great songs are that you will like, not just what I will like, but you will like. I can empathize with you.
But don't you feel that? I'm going to
show you something
exactly
that you didn't know you wanted to see.
You're going to take them on a ride that they didn't even expect because they've gone to weddings. They've been to weddings, Brian.
Yeah.
They've been to weddings where the DJ sucked, he talked too much, he did
normal stuff.
But this is different. You're the DJ. And believe it or not, and I know people will find this amazingly hard to believe, at weddings, I speak very little. I don't.
You're talking here. You don't have anything left to say when you get to a wedding.
Well, that's the whole thing. I kill it all off on the show.
Yeah.
My agent who signed the contract, the guy from Dewey, Cheatham and Howe with John Young the other day, I've redone by the way, everyone, I'm going to be on for a little while longer because my contract has been extended. John agreed to my terms. I flew out on John's plane. I didn't have to use my plane this time, so I was very happy about that.
Yeah.
But what it comes down to is I really walk out of that, and I think, Brian plays bass, I play guitar.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be blunt. I walk out of every wedding like it's Madison Square Garden, like it was my chance to get on stage and not impress them with who I am, but make them have a great night, because my memory of concerts are so all-encompassing. It's the famous, I love this about this expression, and I took it from Bret Michaels of Poison, the trip is my destination. The work you do to get there is really what it's all about. Once you're there, it's different. So I try to make the trip being my destination, being the work I put into your wedding, getting the music, putting the gear together, driving to the event, doing the event, and then driving home. And when I get home, I stop and think, man, I did do it all. I didn't leave anything behind. I gave them what I had to give. They had a great time. I mean, when you're getting $200 and $300 tips at a wedding, to me, that's like you've hit that crown. But even if you don't get the tip and they look at you in the eye and you can almost see a tear come out that you did everything you promised, what else could you ask for? That to me is inspiration. I've now inspired them to understand what I told them was not only the truth, but I exceeded the expectation.
Well, that's going to help you next time too. That's going to give you something.
But it's always a fight. That's the inspiration. The inspiration is, how do I do better next time?
That's your motivation.
How do you do a better event?
That's your motivation, not your inspiration.
No, but it becomes the inspiration because I'm inspired by myself doing a better job. So I go out to YouTube and I watch a video. I saw one by this guy, Brian S. something or other the other day, and I'm like, okay, that's no good. And then I saw Ben Stowe, something. Ben Stiller. And I thought, okay, this sucks completely. I can't learn anything from him. But then I saw Nick Hahn, And I thought, wow, I could talk. What's going on there, Jay? And I said, oh, I could learn from this. No, I mean, really, you look at anything, somebody else's wedding video, somebody else's lighting video, and that becomes, I can carry this forward. I want the best for my clients. My inspiration becomes, I want the best for my family. I'm inspired by the love that my wife and kids give me. I'm inspired by the fact that I'm grateful every day to get up and be alive. Now, how do I take it to the next level? And secretly, I'm Joe Perry of Aerosmith on stage every time I get behind the booth. There, you know the secret.
All right. Well, that about does it for us this week.
Really?
I was going to do some closing thoughts, but you wouldn't be quiet, so we just let you talk and figured we'd let you run at the clock.
I ran out of juice.
Speechless.
I'm down to just doing this stuff. So
yeah, it's okay. That's okay. We expect nothing less from you. It's Tuesday.
Oh,
it's Tuesday.
Hand sanitizer.
And I am inspired by your conversation, Jay.
Oh, thank you. No, I think inspiration should be, and sadly, I think the majority of DJs today, there's no inspiration.
Well,
there's no sense of be better than the last gig.
Again, going back to the top of the show, where I said, "Hey, I don't want to live in the past. I want to talk about."
I do.
Back in my day, that's what makes you an old fart. Complaining about the new stuff.
Okay
if you don't like it. It's okay if you like the new stuff better.
You mean what the girls look like back then, Brian?
Complain
about
a
van, side pipes. Come on,
we're gonna get you that van. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
that van.
If John doesn't fire us, we'll see you next week.
Good night.